Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and here we are again doing another session review, this time from some 10nl and 20nl on Sky Poker. Before we start, I think I want to start making some more videos again. Not that interested in finding new players to work with as such. If anyone comes along, then I'd be happy to talk to them, but that isn't why I'm making the videos. I'm not trying to promote any coaching service. I just enjoyed making videos and I'd like to try and build my channel up. I've currently got around 1,700 subscribers. I'd like to get that to 2,000. That'd be nice. And we've nearly got 1,000 people in the Facebook group, and I'd like to get that to over 1,000 too, and just generally just build things up, because I just think it's nice to have communities, friendly communities and what have you for microstakes players. So that's what I want to do. In order to encourage me to keep making videos, if you guys could hit the thumbs up, that'd be tremendous. If this video gets at least 20, or when it gets to 20 thumbs up, I'll make another one within 48 hours and produce that, and we'll keep doing that. We'll keep producing videos based on thumbs up they get on YouTube, on thumbs up that they get on YouTube. Because if they're not getting the thumbs up and we're not getting the new subscribers, then it kind of defeats the object of what I'm trying to do. Before we get on with the hands that we're going to review here, I'd like to preface this with what had happened earlier in the day. This session was played early in a Saturday evening, and I'd had a pretty miserable Saturday before this. I'd had a morning session of poker where I want to say I lost over 80 quid, which doesn't usually happen to me very often on Sky. Normally I quit sessions before I get stuck that far, but it was just one of them sessions where I think I played pretty well. Operation was a success, but the patient died and we got caned. And then after that I lost another, not that much, but around £40 or so, maybe £50 on the horses in the afternoon, going 0 and 9 on the racing from Ascot, York and Newmarket on ITV. So before this session I was stuck, I want to say around 130 for the day, which isn't pleasing. It represents at least a week's grind for me, and I was keen to make amends for that, or at least start trying to dig my way out of the hole that I'd kind of made for myself. How do you dig out of a hole? Climb my way out of a hole that I dug for myself. And before we even go into any further, I think I want to talk a little bit about overconfidence in poker, because I had a really good month before then. I was up around 350 on Sky. I had one day on Unibet that we reviewed, and I was up 60 odd pounds on that, so I was up over £400 for the month, and I was feeling pretty invincible. And Saturday morning gave me the kick up the arse that maybe you're not invincible. I don't think I played too badly Saturday morning. There was certainly a couple of pots I lost that were just flat out coolers. Kings beat my aces, and think I got it in with the set versus, I think it was just a gut shot or something like that. Maybe a gut shot with some backdoors and some overcards, and lost that one. And then I think I got it in a 300 big blind pot with a open end straight flush draw, and break that one out too. So it got pretty standard stuff, but nevertheless I think maybe not the aces on this, not maybe the gut shot on the aces versus kings, but the 300 blinds sticking stuff with 150 blinds in with, albeit a very big combo draw. Not something I usually do. Probably wasn't my finest hour, and I think it does come about because of overconfidence. I was starting to play some more hands from the blinds which I wouldn't normally play. The hand that I'm talking about was one of them. I think I defended versus a raise with small suited connectors where normally I wouldn't do that from out of position very often. And that was just typical of the kind of way I've been playing. Maybe isolating a little wider than normal, defending the blinds a little wider than normal, just little bits and things, just tiny little adjustments that I'd not even consciously made, just to be overconfident, thinking, I can play this hand, I can play that hand, I can do this, I can do that, I'll be fine. And yeah, it comes to kick you up the bum. I wouldn't say it was like winner's tilt or positive tilt, but it was certainly an overconfidence. I was a victim to it, and I got served my just desserts for that, I suppose. One last thing, just to talk about how I react when I have a relatively large losing session. It's going to come out in this video quite obviously because I moved down and I play less tables. I don't try and blast my way out of these situations. I think when you've had a bad session and kind of your mind's all over the place, you've got all kinds of like wiring issues in your head. The last thing you really want to be doing is like increasing your volume, maybe increasing your stakes when you're already maybe slightly elevated or got some underlying problems from your last session. The last thing you want to do is overwhelm yourself when you're trying to like climb your way out of trouble. So what I did for this session is I moved down. Instead of playing 20 and 30 NL, I played 10 and 20 NL, and I played slightly less tables. So maybe that's something that you guys could maybe adopt. To some of you guys who do struggle to recover from bad sessions, maybe you, instead of doing things the way you normally do it, maybe you could consider moving down in stakes for a couple of sessions, or playing less tables than usual in a couple of sessions, and just like reducing the pressure, reducing the anxiety, and just allowing yourself to play freely and try and recapture your best game again as soon as possible. This is going to be quite a long video. You'll already know how long it is because YouTube tells you. We've got 21 hands to look at. Some of them probably aren't that interesting. All I did was I just recorded my play at all the tables, and every time a remotely interesting spot come up, and some of them probably won't be interesting at all, but every time a remotely interesting spot where I had a decision to make came up, I just marked the hand down as this was the time it was in the video, and we're going to skip to them all, do them all. Some might take a minute, some might take a little bit more. So let's get going. In this first hand here we have the King Queen offsuit in the big blind. This was probably one of the absolute first hands of the session, maybe the second hand of the session. We're not going to name players' names. You're going to see they're all kind of pixelated out, and this bit's pixelated so you can't see names in there too. Just to let you know, these two guys were unknown fish, or unknown players that I've got tagged green from previous sessions, and this player here is a pretty solid 10 and a regular, probably one of the better 10 and a regulars. It seems to just stay there. You occasionally see him at 20, but usually he sticks to 10. Very friendly guy, chatty at the table, fellow Liverpool supporter. If he's watching, he'll know who he is. You guys probably won't, and you won't find out from me. So anyways, we have the King Queen. No, and music came on. We need to be getting rid of that pretty quickly because YouTube will ban it with music. So we elected to squeeze to £1.40. 14 big blinds. We get 2 callers, and look at that for a start. This is a way to climb out of a hole. Just flop the nuts, which is nice. I think I elected to go with quite a large bet given the board texture. I think it's the kind of board where people are either going to stick around or they're not. I mean, if someone's in here with like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, I don't know, 9, 10, things like that, they're probably not going to stick around too much. We're targeting sets, 2 pairs, and big ace-x hands here. We're going for the big bet. I'm going to speed it up for the next time. This is going to take too long otherwise. Not the greatest of turn cards, but by this point we've got like a 2/3 pot bet left. If he's stuck around with like 2 hearts pre-flop and then peeled the flop versus that size and then hallelujah, he's going to felt me. We're just going to move in and hope he calls. Which he did, and he was just drawing dead to a chop, and that was a nice start to the session. We were certainly happy to get that straight away, get that straight in the back of the net. It was nice. So on to the next hand. It's 20 NL table. This player is he plays regularly. He's not a good player. We could tell that by his stack size. He's kind of passive-ish. So when he does min raise the button, it's not to say it's unusual, but he doesn't always do it. He's certainly been known to open limp a lot. But his jack suit is just very strong in this situation versus him. We're going to 3-bet. If we get 4-bet, we'll probably let it go because I don't expect this guy to be 4-bet bluffing very often, if at all, unless he's super tilted, which I had no reason to believe he was at the time. So we're going to 3-bet here, hope he calls or folds and take it from there. we get a pretty mince flop, but I still think we should probably see a bit here, 2 overs, some backdoors. I think we can bet here, maybe, I don't know what size I'm going to use, how much I need these hands back. I'd like to think something in the region of 220, 180 to 240, something like that. If he raises, then obviously just fold. If he calls, we can jam turns that are good for us and just give up on bad turns. That will, I guess, when I'm looking at the hand again, that's what I'd like to see myself do. Anything from 180 to 240. If he raises, we fold. If he calls, then we're going to jam any turn that's blue, jam a jack, jam an ace, probably jam a queen or a king too. Anything else, anything other than that, probably just going to shut down and give up. Let's see what I actually did. A little bit small. Well, too small probably. Interesting turn card in that we do pick up some equity, but we're not very likely to pick up any fold equity, and this turn card does connect quite well with its flop calling range. So I guess, or hope, we just give up here, or just check and hope to get a free card. And now I think I would just check down. We definitely have some showdown value here. We have showdown value against Queen Jack, King Jack, King Queen. Maybe that's about it. But we do have showdown value. I don't think there's much reason to bluff. I don't think we can make it for the better hand, except if he's got some like pocket twos, pocket threes, maybe pocket fives, stuff like that. Probably happy just giving up here content just to take what little showdown value I have. And he bombs, and we're obviously going to fold. This one, I'm afraid, we don't have the pre-flop action for, and we don't know them. Yeah, we don't. It's 20-0, but I don't know what the pre-flop action was. This guy is an untagged player. I'm not sure if he's a regular or not, but I think he plays quite well, even if he isn't. I don't see him around very often, but he auto tops up, and he seems reasonably solid. This guy's clearly, with his stack size and the green tag, a target. As I say, I don't know what the pre-flop action was. Vaguely remember it being raise from this player, call here and call from me, but that doesn't make sense with the pot size. Unless he made it like a, what could it be, 270. If he went 70, 70, 70. Or maybe he went 80, 80. I don't know. Maybe it's gone small raise, call and a squeeze. I don't know. But anyway, we should definitely be betting this flop, trying to get some value from the fish here. If this player did raise pre and check this board, then he's not likely to be super strong. And if he did raise and we did 3-bet, then we should still be trying to get value from this player. I apologise we didn't get the start of the hand, but it is what it is. So we should bet here. I think we should bet. Looks like we're going to go at 120. I'd prefer bigger, like commit against the fish, and maybe not be too happy if this guy sticks around. I think I'd like to see myself go around 180 minimum here, I think. Now we're down at a quid 20. Not a huge fan of that. I think we could definitely go bigger. We should probably bet this turn and then look to check down on rivers. I think it'd be a reasonable play at 240 something. Nope, not happy with my play in this hand whatsoever. We should definitely go for some value now. Pretty small though, like 1/3 pot, something like that. Too small again, Reggie. But we got the fold anyway. Yeah, I'm not proud of that one. Not proud of that one at all. Well, here we are. It's every hand revealed, warts and all, etc. So we're going to see some stuff we're not super pleased with. And also, I was probably still a little bit gun shy from the earlier session. Maybe he's just trying to be a bit too careful. Who knows? But that hand certainly wasn't at all well played. Here we are with the next one, or I think it's going to be the next one. We have 2 kings, get min raised by a weak player. Easy 3-bet, miserable flop. What should we do here? I think against a player that's likely to have like a lot more ace-x in their range. He didn't expect a lot of players to have. He can just raise, call all kinds of weak ace-x that you wouldn't expect a regular to have. I'm fine here with just checking back, I think. And we don't have a 3 street hand. Now we do. And now I think it's a similar situation to earlier. Just hope he's somehow connected and make a large bet, because we want to try and get as much of this £7.7 as we can. Against a regular here, you couldn't check back flop, bet big turn. It just wouldn't make a lot of sense. It wouldn't be a good line. But against a weak player, you just got to hope he's in there with like an ace-10 or something like that he's just not willing to bet with, but not willing to fold. I'd like to see myself get up around the 120 to 140 mark here. Too small again, Reggie. See, now if we'd bet more on that turn, an extra 60 pence, it'd have been, like £4.70 in there now, not £3.40, which means you could make a bet of £4 instead of £3. It all adds up, all these bits and bobs. He's min-donked. We just need to raise pretty big here and hope to get called. Not enough again. My sizing's been too small all over the place so far in this video, apart from the King-Queen first hand. Yeah, definitely something to bear in mind for myself. So here we have an ace-jack suited. We have a button limp. We naturally raise over that. The call, flop a good shot. Not sure why I'm not c-betting here. Really not sure why I'm not c-betting there. I mean, he's just limp called the button. He has none of this. Piss poo of this by me. Absolutely piss poo, and I let him get there with the jack 5, so fucking get what you deserve there, Reggie. Absolutely no idea why I played that hand the way I did. Yeah, that's embarrassing. That is possibly one of the most embarrassing hands I've ever shown on video. Yeah, that was bad. On to the next one. Let's just try and wipe that one from our memory, because that was fucking disgraceful. Here we go, King Queen. Let's squeeze it up, Reggie. That's just what we do. We get the call. We have probably a check here, I think. Seems fair. Not folding, checking, hope he checks back, I guess. And we have to call, given we've checked twice. Checking. I'm kind of hoping for a showdown here, aren't we? Which is what we got, and we won. And I did go back and look, and our opponent had Jack Queen suited in that hand, so not sure we won the maximum, but given we're out of position and there was an ace on board, we're just happy to win the pot. And the fact we picked up an extra 16 big blinds on the turn through our opponent making what is way too thin of a bet, then we'll take it. But what I'm already seeing from this session is that I was still clearly very gun shy from my earlier session. I was being way too cautious. I guess I was just trying to book a win, get some more confidence up, not take too many. Well, I know I didn't take too many high range spots. I haven't seen that yet, but also not take that. Just try and not build big pots with marginal hands and things, which isn't how you want to be playing when you're playing your best. But it's kind of understandable from a emotional perspective after what's been a pretty crummy day at the office. So I'm not pretending it's good. We know it's not good. The ace jack in particular was fucking horrific, and maybe I just lost focus in that hand. I mean, to be honest, at the time, I've had the TV on. I had the music on too loud to try and drown out the TV. Not making excuses, just giving what could be reasons for it. I don't think it was the most focused I've been during a session. I was kind of getting back to clicking through different tables, so OBS caught them. Again, these sound like lame excuses, and trust me, they are lame excuses. I'm just trying to offer up reasons for why perhaps my play was on the weak tight side, which is certainly what it's been so far, I think. in this hand. We called a raise out of the big blind with Jack 10 suited, the same two opponents as the last hand. On another day, I could definitely see myself going for a squeeze in this spot, but we'd been pretty aggro. This is the same play that we squeezed early on with the King Queen in the first hand, and we've squeezed him just in the last hand. You can't get too out of line. Eventually, they're going to say fuck you and hit back, and you don't want to be getting out of line with a hand like this, having them hit him back with a hand that's got. It's got quite a lot of playability, especially with the fish stuck in the middle. So I was happy just to take a flop. I'd like to see myself do. I've been toying with donking recently when there's been fishing pots and just ignoring the regular, kind of just pretending they don't exist and just playing my hand pretty face up against the fishes and not expecting them to adjust and exploit me. So I wouldn't be surprised if I donked here. I think I should, but maybe I don't. Who knows? But I'd like to see myself donk. Aha, he's bet. There we go then. I think it's just raisey daisy time, isn't it? Try and force a regular out of the pot, and we're happy to get it all in right now versus a player who we have tagged as green. So I'd like to see a raisey daisy from me here. Anything upwards of 240 I'll be fine with. We do find the raising, we get jammed on, and it's were we getting? No, we weren't getting free roll. It's choppity chop, and I think that's fine. If he didn't lead into me, I would definitely have donked there. Hope this can, well, don't care if we get action from this regular, great. If we don't, then hopefully we get action from the weaker player. So that was going to be my thought process, but he beat us to the punch with the same hand, and we rightfully chopped it up. So here we are again with this one with Mr. Preflop action. Looks very much like I have raised under the gun to 3x and picked up 4 callers. Fuck Sky for taking so much of the rake out already. 7.5% rake, lovely. It's just what you want at 10. That's why I don't play much 10 because the rake is absurd. But the games are usually full of fish, so I guess paying a premium for good games. If 10NL is your regular game, I certainly wouldn't put anyone off playing Sky, even though the rake is higher, because you're just going to be in so many better games. But it's not something I want to spend a ton of time doing, unless there's just no other tables and I feel like playing, or like this session was, I'm just on like a confidence recovery mission. Anyways, back onto the hand. We should definitely bet here. Our hand could use a lot of protection. It can also get plenty of value from these two green tag players. If we're going to bet multi-way, we're not going to have too many bluffs in our range, so we may as well go bigger. I'd like to see us go at least 80 pence here. He's donked. Let's make it 90. Not big enough for a Jeep. We pick up a caller. So he's gone. I remember this hand well now, because at the time I just thought this dude's got a set. Almost certainly got a set. It's gone min donk, raise, just call. I was pretty confident he had a set at this point, and you might think, oh, how the fuck can you put someone on that? I know this player incredibly well. I don't think he's the sort of player who's going to be like fucking round here with like a 5x versus like a min bet and a raise very often. I think he's just going to probably get out of the way. I think if he has a bigger pair than 9s pre-flop, he just 3 bets with given there was a caller and fish in the blinds here. So I was very confident this guy had a set. So we go for pot control on the turn. He leads a river. Put him on a set. I could see, really didn't want to call. Decided to call in the end, and of course he had the set. And actually put in the chat box straight afterwards. You're not going to be able to see it, of course, because the chat box is blurred out. But I actually put in the chat box afterwards, put you on a set, called anyway, because I was just not happy with myself. I don't even know why I typed that in, but I did. Yeah, I was being a... You could look at the hand and see, yeah, of course you've got to call. You can't like bet that flop, check back that turn and fold that river, because it's been a pretty clean run out, to be fair. But yeah, I knew it was beat, and I was disappointed with my call. Wish I'd just timed out, to be honest, and just like gone for the call and missed it, because we'd have saved we'd have saved 17 big blinds, and that would have been not unpleasant. On to the next one. We didn't capture this hand right from the start because we didn't think much was going to happen in it, but we ended up turning a straight here against the fish, and then we'll take it from there. Not sure what must have happened. It looks like it's gone something like limp, check, then maybe bet, call the flop, or maybe check bet, or min bet, small raise. I'm not sure, but we get to the turn with just 8 blinds in the pot. An opponent pots it. I think we need to just raise here. He can certainly call with a monster amount of worse hands. 4x is clearly going to be delighted with the situation. Flush draws, just a 5x or a 6x might be interested. Even like ace deuce ace 5 might be interested, and he's bet pretty big. No reason to think he doesn't like his hand here, and I think we should just go with the pretty big raise, set up a really easy river jam. We should just shove this river. The flush gets there, but it should still be a shove. 4x is never folding. And now there was pocket sixes, it seems. That's clearly a really atrocious call from our opponent there. If we were not ahead on the turn and we were semi-bluffing, then half our semi-bluffs got there, possibly more than half our semi-bluffs if we had ace-x of diamonds, and that's got there. So lots of our semi-bluffs got there. This player clearly hates money, and I was a willful recipient of his kind donation. So on to this next hand. It's a 20-nil table. There's been 4 limps up to now, 3 fish, and a seemingly a regular that to me seems pretty competent, quite aggressive. So when he just overlimps the button, he's never got anything. As for the rest, who knows? So we just make a huge isolation raise because there's already lots of money in there. Happy to take it down pre. Don't mind taking a flop heads up. We get 1 caller from a player that was quite frustrating to play against. He was pretty passive pre-flop, sticky post-flop, and aggro when you didn't bet. So if you did bet, he'd just call a lot. If you didn't bet, he would bet a lot. Quite irritating to be out of position against, which is we are here. We have 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, etc. We should definitely bet this flop. Don't expect it to fold very often, but there are a ton of good turns for us where we can just apply a lot of pressure. So we should definitely bet here. We don't have to go too big given my read on him. I think anything round 160 to 220 is going to be just fine. Calls, we get a truly abysmal turn card, and hopefully we just shut down. He's probably going to bet now. We're probably going to fold. That's just how it was going against that player at that time. But he's clearly a player long term we're going to make a lot of money from. We can check a lot of like strong bluff catches to him, and assuming he's going to bet too many hands too often, and we can just value bet the shite out of him with the top of our range. And I'm not the sort of player I'd expect to be super quick to adjust to the fact that we're trying our best to exploit him. So on to the next one. We have ace king offsuit. We have 3-bet a green tag player. I do have a note on him. Can't remember what the note said. But anyways, we obviously 3-bet with a premium hand. He not snap 4-bet, but he 4-bet pretty quick. Not massive, but somewhat on the big side. And then I did check my notes, and my notes indicated that he was kind of a passive player. I think I remember this hand. I'm pretty sure I just folded here because four bets, in my opinion, four bets from players I have tagged as being passive when they can just call or fold. Four bets by far the least likely thing that most players do. Call, fold, and probably make up 90% of the times that things happen when you three bet, and we get four bet maybe 10% of the time or something. I don't know, pulling the numbers out of my ass, but it's even less than that versus passive players, which is the point I'm trying to make. And I read here this player's passive, and I'm pretty sure we just folded, and I'm happy with the fold. It's never nice to three bet fold ace king, but do I want to get close to 100 blinds in pre-flop with just ace king versus a player who I have notes on to say he's kind of loose passive? Probably not. Maybe he was tilting, maybe he's changed his style, who knows. But I was not happy to three bet fold there, but I was comfortable doing it, and you got to go where you read, and that's what I did. So here we are with ace king again. A min raise under the gun. A min three bet from the player that we just played against previously. Obviously we're going to need to four bet, because this could just be a misclick. It might just be, but fuck knows. When I see the min three bet though, I either think it's a fish, just like not having a clue how to size up with a hand that they want to three bet with, or it's a misclick, who knows. But obviously we need to four bet our ace king suited. Certainly now another player's coming to the pot, which is a pretty healthy sizing given how many people are already in the pot. Get a call, and we clearly flop the absolute world. What size do you want that Simmons I'll use here? Well, we've got an SPR of less than 2 against him and 1.5 against him. I don't think sizing matters very much at all here. But nothing's going to prevent us getting all the money in. Probably because of that reason, probably prefer to go on the smaller side. There isn't a turn card that we're not going to continue on. So I'd be happy to go smallish here. Something in the region of 150. Oh, too big this time, Reggie. Too big. He min raises. So now we've been min raised by someone who we know is remarkably loose passive in a three bet pot, but of course, I mean, we're just going to go with it now. I expect to be behind here a reasonable amount by to who knows what. Sets of queens, king, queen, maybe a weirdly played pocket aces, who knows. But I mean, clearly we just jam and whatever. And we were behind, and we did not get there. LOLs. Maybe next hand. Pretty easy squeeze, one would think. Very easy squeeze. 8 million people in the pot again. Similar size to the previous hand. And then this time we get, I mean, how strong is this guy when I've squeezed 3 people and he's just like 4 bet to £5.8. That's why this guy is orange. He plays some 20 in L2. He's just, I mean, you might think I'm a shit regular, who knows, but fuck me, this guy's a really shit regular. Who the fuck uses this size with a 4 bet? 58 blind 4 bet from a 100 big blind stack. It's just like the easiest fold in the history of time. And the frustration was starting to mount in this session. I think it starts to get a little bit more frustrating in the next few hands. Could be wrong, but I'm starting to get flashbacks now to just ace kings and king queens giving me nothing but torture for the next few minutes. So let's see, I could be wrong. So we have another ace king against the same player who's been torturing us. Clearly have an easy 3 bet again. This time he does not 4 bet, he just calls. I don't know why I check here. Looks like we're going to check. We shouldn't be checking here. We should be betting for sure. I expect this guy's 3-bet calling range, have all kinds of shite in it. It should be a really easy, like 80 pence c-bet and move on. We don't do it. Instead, we just let him steal the pot on the turn. Do we? Or do we call? What do we do? No, we just let him steal the pot. I was getting frustrated with him at this point. I was getting frustrated with Ace King at this point. The only saving grace was that it was just 10-L, so who really cares? I was just frustrated with the situations of that, oh, not again. I just want to fucking headbutt him. But yeah, fortunately, it was 10-L, so if you're going to run bad with Ace King, it's better to run bad with it at 10-L and 13-L, I guess. Just pick the positives out of it where we can. So here we are up against our friend again. This time he's gone with a 4x open, so I'm definitely going to have to, if I didn't already do it, I'm going to have to adjust my note on this dude, because he certainly hasn't been loose passive this session. He's been clicking the raise button quite a lot. Of course, we have another easy 3-bet versus him. And this time we flop nicely. Decide to go with a bigger than usual c-bet. He calls, we turn gin. So let's have a look at this now. I think I like just a shove here. Do I like a shove? It's either bet like 150 or something like that to set up like a 2/3 river shove, or all in. Don't mind which I do. I think I prefer the jam given our dynamic, but I wouldn't hit a small bet either. Don't like that sizing very much, to be honest. But who cares when we do with the nuts, or the effective nuts. And our opponent found the fold, so maybe jamming turn would have been better there than going with the sizing that we went with. So this hand is against a player I know relatively well. I've spent some time working with this player. Not breaking any confidences by referring to him as Josh. He's done really well, actually. He, at the risk of sound like I'm self-promoting, he started doing some work with me earlier in the year, in the spring, and he wasn't doing that well in the 10-L street, and now he's playing 20 and 30-L and had a real good amount of success, which is evidence that I can help people coax the best out of themselves, but that's by the by. Onto the hand, we raised, he called, we flop pretty well. We should definitely c-bet here. Probably only need to bet no more than half pot. We didn't even bet. Why didn't we bet there? That's bad. That's really bad from me. In fact, it's rather distressing, because that was a trivial c-bet. We do bet the turn, increasing our equity. He calls, and we do with the nuts, and this against more Sky players would be a really, really, really easy bet. But I'm going to let you know that this hand checks down and we win, of course. But Josh is a good enough player to realise when I take a bet check line here, I should be quite weak. I don't think Josh has a king. It's very unlikely he has a miss flush draw he can bet with, of course, given we block it. But I think the crucial point is Josh is a good enough hand reader to realise we don't have a king here. The best hand we can probably have here is pocket queens, jack X, something like that probably can't take a reasonable size bet. So I was checking here thinking Josh might go for the bet with a hand like, I don't know, ace queen, maybe a hand like ace 10, maybe he's got a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 10s, although we block them quite hard, that he thinks probably isn't good. Maybe he turns them into a bluff. So I was setting up a check raise here thinking Josh is going to have more hands that he's going to want to bet here versus a check as a bluff than he's going to be able to call with, given that I didn't think he's very strong. I don't think he has a king almost ever. So I just think it's going to be quite hard to get called. Maybe he calls with a jack if we like bet like 180 or something. So we miss value from a jack by not betting. But if he's got anything else, missed draws, under pairs, he's likely to bet with pretty much all of them. So I decided to get a bit fancy, go for a check raise. Sadly, Josh snapped check back, and that's because he actually had the ace jack of clubs. So turn card was perfect for us, and we managed to win the absolute minimum. So there we go. If we'd bet the flop, bet the turn, bet the river, we could have probably got 3 streets or at least 2 streets, and we won a piddling £2.75 because I tried to get tricky. Fuck you, Reggie. Here we have 2 ladies, and we do the obvious. See myself bet around 30 here, I think. 1/3 pot on monotone boards that I'm continuing on is pretty standard for me. Get the call. I think the problem here, we have not as much of a problem with the third nuts, is that do we have a hand that can get 3 streets? What can he have that can call 3 streets or 2 more streets? And we need him specifically to have probably the 10 of spades, maybe the 9 of spades if he gets curious. So like 8, 9 of spades, so 8, 9 with a spade, 9, 10 with a spade, 9, 10 of spades exactly. So there are some hands we can get 3 streets on, but not too many. I wouldn't hate it if we checked back here and went for like a river bet versus a check, or bluff catch if he bet pretty big. Let's see what we do. We do check back. River's an ace. We have a super easy value bet now. We bet, he calls, and he had 2 sevens with the 7 of spades, and I don't hate his line there really. I think he probably needs to call versus, he needs to call on the flop of course. He probably needs to call on the river versus a line we took check bet check. So he bet check bet with a bluff catcher. So I don't hate his line at all. Don't rate him much, but I don't hate his line here. And I think maybe we could have got a few more pence value. Should have maybe thought, well, if he's going to call with, say, well, as it happens, a 7 of spades or 7, 8, so he's 7, 10, 9 of spades, then maybe we could have put a bit more meat on that bet. See how long it took to make the bet. Probably didn't take long enough. Did I put a lot of thought into it? No, not enough thought. Could have gone up to 80 or 90 there, I feel, but I didn't. Not exactly proud of my play in this session at all. But again, just to recap, it is on the back of a pretty bad session, so if ever you're not going to play your best, it's very likely to going to be the session after a bad session, as you're just kind of gun shy, bit wary of things that shouldn't be there, like monster under the bed syndrome, that type of thing. Certainly some of that going on during this session, and this hand's just another example of it. So just 4 more hands to go, including this one. We open the 2 kings under the gun. And get 3 callers. Reasonable flop. Probably should bet a little bit bigger there. Very unlikely someone's got 2x. I think the only player that probably can have 2x is this guy, unless one of these has quads. Go with a pretty big bet on the turn, trying to target Queen X, flush draws, etc. And the fish just calls, leaves himself with 90 pence. The club came, I was thinking, please don't donk, please don't donk, please don't donk. So if he donks, we have to call, and we're almost certainly going to lose to 2x or a flush. He didn't donk, and look at me, I almost checked back. That would have been pathetic, wouldn't it? We called, we jammed, and he called with 2 6s, which is clearly a terrible call. But I think the keep out of Nahan was I hovered over the check for his last 90 pence. Once he doesn't bet, he doesn't have a 2, he doesn't have a flush, it's just a mandatory bet. I almost checked, which would have been beyond heartbreaking. In fact, it would have been absolutely devastating, but we didn't, so there we go. Thankfully, we have a hand that we played okay. Here we're back in the hand with the player we played against earlier, the guy who I said bets when checked to quite a lot, doesn't fold very often. We've flopped a flush draw. I guess, given the read, we could go for a check raise here against someone who's a very exploitative player, someone if he's just going to be like betting with everything when we check to him, then check raise would be nice. I don't believe I did that, but if I'd had... Oh, I did go for it. I went for the check at least. Did I go for the raise? No, Reggie. No, Reggie. Clearly wasn't thinking straight during this session, because this would be an unusual spot to check raise, given that we wouldn't be check raising any of our value hands here very often in a normal situation, but against somebody who stabs a lot versus checks, I think it's a perfect spot to put a check raise in. Sometimes he's going to fold a better hand, other times he's not going to fold, but we're going to improve and have a bigger pot to get more value from. Super easy check raise. I was obviously feeling a little bit gun shy and didn't go for it. Then I decided to lead the turn, which I don't hate. If he does have a hand like, I don't know, some kind of medium pair, it's a good chance I'm going to make him fold it. Or again, if he doesn't fold it, we're going to be able to barrel some rivers. So I'll go for the bet. I don't hate it, it's an unusual line. And then the board just double pairs and we have a trivial check fold even though we made the flush. Quite annoying, because I remember at the time I saw the spade first, I'm like boom, and then I saw that the board was double paired and I'm like if the board wasn't double paired, it would just have been a very easy bet too. Even it's double paired here, I mean maybe he's weird enough to sometimes bet a worse hand here, but I don't think it's very likely. And I do believe I just check folded and the frustration continued. Here in this hand, it's back to our old friend again, who's given us all the problems with the ace kings and the king queens and what have you. He, I think he raised, he called, I squeezed to 180, he flatted. And let's go from here. We get a pretty terrible flop. I still think we should probably bet it. Certainly get value from this dude here. If he folds, then we don't mind. We haven't really got a hand we can... I mean, the pot's already plenty big. Don't really want to be check calling in this spot and check folding a lot of turns. I'm not sure what I do, but I think I'd like to see myself bet quite small here. Less than £2. Let's see what I did. Did just and so get the bet in, and then we got caught by the fish on the button, who did not improve, and we won another sizable pot, 80 blind pot, which, although it's only 10NL, still nice to win 80 blind pots, or whatever limit you're playing. So, on to the last hand of the video, we open 2 sevens under the gun. We get 3 bet by a fishy player, and I'm not one for really set mining in 3 bet pots, but I think we probably have decent implied odds here versus what's very likely to be a strong range. And we have position, so we have like a hand that can, when it flops, well, it's basically flops and nuts, and we have position against a weakish player. If he does have just like a lot of like aces, ace king, ace queen, that type of thing, we're going to be able to navigate post flop pretty well against him, I would hope. We just flop the world. He checks. We should definitely bet here, which we do. And he calls. Again, just bet. Make sure we set up stacks to jam rivers. He goes all in anyway. We're obviously delighted to call, and he has the drawing dead hand. So my read that he had a strong range was clearly way off, but we still managed to get maximum value and drag down a 160 big blind pot, which is pretty nice. We'll take it. So after all of that, it was like a 2-hour session. we managed to book a £7.90 win, which wasn't really what I was looking for after a pretty bad day of poker and horse punting. But you've got to start somewhere, getting out of the hole, and this, it helped. The good news is I played 3 sessions since then, and I'm completely out of the poker hole and almost out of the additional horse racing hole. Think my downswing has been recovered to maybe just being £7 less than where I started the day yesterday. So given that we lost money in the horses too, we're out of the poker downswing already, almost made up for the horse losses. Things are back on track. Happy days. Please don't forget, if you've got this around the video, hopefully you've liked it. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button yet, please do. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do. And if you're on Facebook and you haven't joined the Facebook group, then please join that too. And remember, if this video gets, I think, is at 20 likes, as soon as it gets to 20 likes, I'll start preparing for the next session. It's going to be exactly the same as this one, pretty much just me playing for an hour or so. Maybe not this many hands next time, it's a bit too many. I won't be just cherry picking the big pots, because I think that gets a bit boring, just showing coolers. I'll just be doing the same as I've done here, play for an hour, 2 hours, mark a bunch of hands, and then just look at them all with a fresh pair of eyes, like a day later or something, see if I can pick up anything that I've not been doing too well. Like in this session, I was certainly too weak tight. Certainly suffering from a little bit of monster under bed syndrome, over caution, trying to make sure that we didn't have another losing session, etc. And I think this session did its job. I didn't play well, but I did get 2 hours under my belt and I didn't lose, which is, when you've had a bad session or a bad day, is it's never a bad starting point to launch a recovery from. And as we talked about just a few minutes ago, the recovery is pretty much complete now, and I'm looking forward to a new week and getting back on the grind and trying to push my monthly profits through the plus 500 barrier this week, which will be nice, because my usual targets for a month are anything making more than £300 I'm pretty happy with. We're already past that. Hopefully we can push on and have a plus £500 or £600 month, which will, well, it'll just be nice, won't it? So yeah, there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, then never mind. Take care everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.